Thank you. Yeah. So a lot of you have I know a number of you have heard about UI UX, and that is why you are here. So I'm going to give a brief introduction of what really UI UX is. I'll tell a very fast story. So when I first got into UI UX, or I was told about UI UX, I really did not know about it. And I was told about it by my brother. I had already started, I wanted to learn front end design, and I was already a graphic designer. So people were telling me that, oh, I think it's better for you to do UI UX design than web design or graphic design. So it was really, really strange to me. And I can remember contacting someone that my brother recommended, and I wanted to do an internship. So when I chatted the guy up, I was like, I'm interested in UI UX design. I'm interested in web design. I was like, since I'm a graphic designer, that I should rather do UI UX design. Okay, so I said, okay, what is UI UX design? So he gave me a very wonderful assignment. He asked me to go and research about UI UX and get back to him. So in my curiosity, I quickly went on the internet and searched for it and quickly gave him feedback. And that was like the beginning of an exciting journey, because right now, like, one of the decisions I'm happy that I made is getting into tech and also being a product designer, right? So one other thing I want us to catch up here is that, I have a lot of people. I'll start in the next 2 minutes. I have a lot of people that come to me and tell me, hey, I want to learn UI UX design and all of that. And in the next 2 minutes, they are nowhere to be found, right? There are certain questions I ask them. Are you sure that you want to learn this? Because it will get to a point that you will say to yourself that I'm not sure this is my calling. I'm not interested again. What is all this? My head is paining me, headache, I can't sleep. Right? There are times where you be given a project, and there are times where you be given a project and all you do throughout in fact, you see the project in your dream. It involves a lot of mental reasoning. So I want to hope that the 100 and something in this place will eventually make it up to the end of this training. So yeah. So let me move forward. Yes, this is an old slide. I used to be a brand identity designer. So I'm also the founder of Shootings and Design. So Shootings and Design is a community where I encourage ladies in tech that are willing to venture as a designer, whether product designer, graphic designer, brand identity designer, and the rest. So it's more like a woman in tech stuff. Can any other person hear me? Christian is saying you can't hear me. I don't know whether it's me or anyone. So you can actually follow me on this Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, the rest of that. All right. So we're going to be looking at UI UX design. And when I had the understanding of UI UX design, my life changed. Like, everything I look at, all I think about is, okay, how do people see this? How can I make this better? So in the course of this, can anybody hear me? Let me be talking by faith. In the course of this, okay, thank you. In the course of this training, we're going to be having a better understanding of what design is. We're going to know what is UI UX design. the difference, what is a good UI and what's a bad UI, why you should be a UI UX designer. Give me 1 minute. Time. We're going to do design thinking. Right. So moving forward, okay, this is where it becomes very, very interesting. And this is where many of you, we have to unmute your mic and be responding because we want this to be interactive. So if you want to say something, you raise up your hands. Iwaga. I hope you heard me. So imagine you are riding on this donkey. So first of all, imagine you are this guy that is wearing this orange cloth and you are in this hot sun. Have you imagined? So if you've imagined, I would like 3 persons to raise up their hands and tell me how it feels to be in such situation. Is anybody raising up their hand?
Yeah, Tochku.
Okay, anybody that's raising up their hand should just reply. 3 people. There are 3 people. Be fast.
Mute.
Okay. Tochku, you say you're raising up your hand. Say something.
I don't know if he's my network. Design Goddess, can you hear him?
No, it's his network.
Okay. So Chinenye Uroka. Chinenye Uroka.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. So I want to know if you want an honest answer. You want me to lie, but let me just give an honest answer. Under the hot sun, riding on these donkeys, actually, I would want them to go faster so I can go under a shade. That's the truth. Because with the sun and the donkeys, don't think donkeys move as fast as possible. At that moment, I will not feel on top of the world, honestly. I would feel very hot and I would want to go under a shade.
So you be very hot. So I want to outline why do you want a shade? You feel very hot, right? Imagine that this is the only option you have. So let's forget shade safe. Okay. And you have to ride on this. So what's the situation? I say it's going to be very hot. What other thing are you going to also think about? Someone else can answer. Just 2 more persons.
Okay, Obioke Okonkwo. Obiokonko, you can unmute. All right, let me just. Okay, Sunday Fnaya, you can unmute.
Okay, good evening. Well, for me, I'd kind of be frustrated because first off, these are donkeys, right? So, and they don't move fast and I'm under the sun. First, I would not be comfortable.
Okay, chill.
Yeah, I want to be
frustrated. You're frustrated. You are hot. What's the third one you talked about?
She won't be comfortable.
You won't be comfortable.
Not comfortable, okay. Like Yeah.
Okay. So that's very true. So let me just move forward because of time. So imagine that you are, in fact, first of all, all those times where they will tell us that so I even heard that somebody had to even had to trek from one place to another to celebrate to congratulate Tinubu for being the president. So we've heard stories where I think during Buhari's time, someone did that to Buhari, I can't remember. So imagine that ah, there'll be hot sun. In fact, the donkey will even get tired. In fact, you have to start thinking of how you will feed the donkey. That is another thing. So life was frustrating. Life was hard. Like even our parents, everything. Life was really hard. But then in the hardness of life, some people had to sit down and think of how to make life easy. So so that led to things like bicycle, tricycle. Now we have limousine, Ferrari. And not just that, they are moving long distances, but they are beautiful, they are nice, right? So, but what resulted to the making of these things? There was a problem. What is the problem? The problem was that, this guy want to die. This guy is suffering. Everywhere is hot. People cannot travel long distance. When people even try to travel, it's frustrating. Dockings will get tired. These are the problems. Then people sat down and found better ways to solve these problems. So that leads me to what is design. So, growing up, when they ask us what design is, what comes to our mind is, design is how something looks like, how it is fine, how it is all of that. Beautiful, right? But I want to change your perspective today of what really design is. If you don't get anything from what I'm saying, I want you to get this. Design is not just about the acts. It's not just, count my word, it is not just about how beautiful something is, right? Design is anything you create to solve a problem. Wonderful, that thing you create is supposed to be beautiful because even the Bible says that man looks at the external, right? Even as a man, when you want to marry wife, you will check whether the wife is fine in your eyes. It may not be fine in every other eye, but in your eyes, it's fine. So design is not just about the art. It's not just about how something is fine, but is it solving the problem for which it is done? So design is solving a problem. Design is also how it looks. It's also how it works. So what that means is that, first of all, this is actually a design. First of all, this is actually, design is not just restricted to product design. There's something called architectural design, building design, stuff like that, right? But one thing with design I want you to do is to know is that design is about solving problems. So what that means is that you are in this life, product designer don't understand how critical their work is. All right. Have you ever used an application, right? I know you've not gone into UI UX design, but have you ever used an application and then you feel frustrated, you'll be angry? The problem sometimes is not the developer that developed it. The problem is the designer that thought wrongly and designed rubbish. You don't know how much mistake or how much not doing the right thing can actually cost the user at the end of things. So I want you to know that you are important. As a designer, you are important. So under design, like I said, we have a lot of design. We have graphic designs, we have digital designs, the rest of them. We have engineering design. But what we're going to be focusing on today is UI UX design, which is user interface and user experience. U stand for user, I stand for interface. U stand for user, X stand for experience. So user interface and experience design. So let's start with user interface design. So I like to give this example because, can you hear me? I can hear you.
Okay, just a minute. If you know you are writing on this board, clean it like ASAP, like now. Because what's all this? If you know you're writing on this board, clean it ASAP. Please continue, Ifnaya.
Okay, thank you. So, one of the things that I use in understanding certain things is by looking at the smaller words. So we have user, we have interface. Who's a user? Someone that is using something. And we have interface. So user interface designs are those designs that a user can see. They are just designs. They are those arrangements of the layouts, those things created that a user can see. So there is a user and there is a content. So the one that the user can see is called user interface design. So for me to explain it better, so user interface design is the graphical layout, the visual content. Visual means what you can see, the content that you can see of an application a user can interact with. So I look at my face, at my phone, I look at a certain application, right? And what I see, that graphical arrangement, which is usually governed by something we call design principle. This is going to be treated in the next class. So that visual thing, you can open an application, you see the colors, the image, the shape, the text, the icon. Those things that you see are interface design. So user interface design has to do with those designs that your users see while using your application. So, like I said, the arrangement of these elements is governed by something we call design principle, which we are going to explain in the next class. Moving forward, user experience design. So, user experience, like the name user experience, how the user feels while using your application, how they use the application. Are they happy while using your application? Are they frustrated? Are they confused? Are they sad? So as a user experience designer, my work is to make life easy, right? So even as much as making the form that is going to be feel easy. You get to, that's why most of our university websites, if you look at them, they tend to fill one long form. You get tired. But as a user experience designer, my work is to make the user feel comfortable. So that means I may not start doing step by step. I may start giving certain instructions so that while the user is filling the form is easier. Is as a result of user experience design, we have something like sign up with Google, sign up with Facebook, because people are lazy. People don't have the strength. So a user experience designer thought of, okay, how can we make the whole thing seamless? Do you understand? So you are here to make life easier. And like I said, you are very important. So to cut the long story short, user interface has to do with how an interface looks. User experience has to do with how it feels, how it works. Is the flow that the user has to pass through while using your application. Is it smooth? Is it easy? Is it hard? So these are some of the things a user, don't worry, as time goes, you see some of how a user experience designer makes this possible. They do things like research, they do things like they do a lot of things, architecture, they do user research. There's all this survey that you guys see. They come up with user flow, they come up with journey map. All of these things are going to be taught. All of these are going to be taught. All of these are going to be taught in other classes. Moving forward. So these are the differences. So UI has to do with color, the visual, what you see, but UX is quite deep. And US control UI. with time you understand that. Okay, thank you very much, Oluchi. I'm gingered. Let me teach well. So I'm going to do a very quick assignment in the next 4 minutes. So the first 4 people to raise up their hand. First 4 people to raise up their hand. Thank you. So pick one person. Goodness. Let me ask the question. Goodness, are you here?
Yeah, I'm asking Chizoba to unmute. Okay, moving on. Emeka Oguchukwu. You can unmute.
Okay,
Good
whoever.
evening.
So when an application, I have a question for you to make sure that to check whether you've listened. When an
All right.
application interface like looks great, but is difficult to use. When an application interface looks great, but is difficult to use, what will you say? Will you say it has a bad UI and good UX, or a good UI and bad UX?
I'll say good UI and bad UX. I'll say good UI and bad UX. Can anyone hear me?
What did you say? Go ahead, I can
I
hear
say
you.
a good UI and bad UX.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so I'll just move forward. So thank you so much. So when an application is difficult to use, but the interface looks great, you could say that it has a good UI, good UX. Okay, difficult to use, bad UX, good UI. When an application looks great and easy to use, good UI, good UX. When an application is ugly and very difficult to use, is another problem. In fact, it should sack you. So that
Just
will
a
take. Okay.
just a minute. Gladys, clean this thing now, right now, unless you want me to kick you out of this call. And every other person, Michael, Onye, something, please clean your own ASAP. I will start kicking you guys out of this call. Because what's all this? So sorry, Design Goddess.
So yeah, please, this is not play. You are not playing. So stop playing as if children are playing. So yeah, another problem. So yeah, moving forward. Let me see what I have forward. So do I have the time to do this next stage? Right, but I can understand that I'll be very fast. I can understand that we understand what's the difference between UI UX design. But before I go forward, I'll just give, I know some questions that people may ask. I usually get is, first of all, I've answered one. What's the difference between UI UX designer? Okay, what is product designer? I'm going to explain this. A product designer is like an upgraded version of a UI UX design. So how do I mean? So product designer is has experience in both UI. A product designer is a UI designer, a UX designer, and a marketing. How do I mean? Marketer. How do I mean? So these are people that design not with the focus on the business goals, right? Yes, with focus on the business goals. So they are designing, they are doing any design. You're not just designing it just for users, but then you're designing it to meet business goals, right? So for example, you are designing something, maybe a landing page, and the sole purpose of the landing page is for people to start making money, right? So you're not just designing to make the user feel good, but you're designing, putting that content that has to do with people making payments or people finally doing the reason for the design, right? So if the design is for making money, right? Yes, allow the people go through the experience, but do not forget to actually to make the end point to bring more money to the organization. Do you understand? So a product designer is not just, they're like high level UI UX designer, right? So another question people used to ask is that, can I be a UI designer and UX designer? Yes, you can be that. So for you to work very well as a UI designer, you have to be a good UX designer. Like, you have to work with a UX design. For example, I want to build an application for a medical industry. I don't know anything about medical industry. So I have to go through the user research to find out more about the medical world. I have to do some certain things to find out more about the medical world. So it's very, very important. I'll just move fast. So design thinking, what is design thinking? So in a long and short words, design thinking is all of the processes or step-by-step approach you take to solve a problem. All of the step-by-step approach to do to solve a problem. And I'm going to show you guys these steps very fast. So this is one thing that every designer should know. It is empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. So first of all, what is empathize? Like the name, empathize. This is where you learn about your user. You understand who are user, who are you designing for? What are their problems? Who are they? The second one is define the user's need. So when you've identified what their problem is, then you write it down. Okay, this person problem is this, that. So just like the example we had, maybe I'm going to give another example. So idea generation. So when you've known your user's needs, you have written down the things that you think your user need as a result of the things that you think your user need as a result of their problem, right? Then you come up with idea generation. You start thinking about how can we solve this problem? How can we solve the problem? Then when you come up with the different ideas that you have, the next question is prototype. So this is where those ideas, you bring it to something that is relatable, make something that can represent the idea. It can be in form of making some drawings, wireframe. Don't worry, as time goes, you understand. After that, when you've built something like that, then you not test the design. Anyway, I'm going to explain. So for example, I really like to give this example because it's like I fall in that part. You are a single lady. Well, very soon I'll not be a single lady. Praise the Lord. You're a single lady and then you work a lot, right? You work a lot. In fact, you're a developer. You work a lot. Maybe you work for 2-3 companies, or let me say 2 companies. And you don't have time for yourself, or rather you don't have time to cook. You don't have the time to cook. So, and first of all, in your mind, you have a problem. First of all, so the problem first is you don't have the time to cook. Second is you want balanced diet, right? Thirdly, you're too busy that you don't even have the strength to even know what should be my breakfast, my lunch, and all of that. These are the problem. So know what I have, like now I've identified the problem. And how do you know know the problem? By asking questions to users, finding out, doing research. So after doing the whole research and everything about your audience, who you are designing for. So from the look of things, it's somehow I want a food delivery application. Food delivery application that can bring stuff. So I'm going to the end so you can understand what I'm doing. So the next thing now is you write out what my user. Okay, my user wants she wants to be able to order for food from any point. She wants to be able to have more time for her work. She wants to be able to take more balanced diet. She wants to be able to sit from the comfort of her office and get her food delivered to her. These are you have defined the needs. The next question is, so how can we make this thing really possible for her? How can we make this thing possible for her? So the next thing is, some people will come up with, let it be that, let us come up with a delivery application for her to order for food. Okay, let us come up with an AI that can be able to detect the kind of food she eats in the morning, afternoon, and night. Maybe we should come up with series to tell her, hi, Ifunaya, what do you want to eat today? And she said, I want lunch, I want this, I want that. Or bring up with different ideas. Then after you come up with your ideas, you now have to select the one you want to work on, build something around it, and then test. So that's how, like, the whole process of design thinking. First, understand your user, empathize, define their problem, list out their problems, their needs, identify ideas. Think about ideas means, how can I help? How can I help these people? How can I solve this problem? Right? This is where you have a lot of thinking. Prototype is where you come up with an idea. In this case, you come up with wireframes, come up with sketches of the application, and then you test it. You test it. If you build it on Figma, you can go from one place to another to test it. All right, moving forward. So this is a very major task. I'm going to stop here because of time. I usually give. So I want you to listen very well. So we're going to use that stuff to solve this problem. Use design thinking to solve this problem. So it's the second wave of COVID-19, God forbid. I'm not going to have COVID-19 in this life ever again, in Jesus' name. And the government has placed a no movement policy. So everybody should stay at home. So what's this thing now? We're in sit at home. For those people that are in the East, sit at home, the government say if you come out, it's even harder. Sit at home is harder, please. Let's not even go there. So the government has placed no movement policy. So Priska is in need of a cardigan. She really needs this clothes, but worried because she can't go out to get one. She wants her exact size and she's fat. So how can we help her, Priska? First of all, we need to empathize. We need to empathize with Priska. So what are the problems of, what do you think? Because now we cannot start interviewing Priska, but Priska has already told us her problem. So let us go to, we've already empathized with her, right? That this is her wala. So we need to list out her problems. What is the problem? Just 2 persons. Goodness, unmute 2 persons. What is Priska?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good evening. My name is Virtue. I think her first problem is the no movement rule, because she can't go out. That is the first problem. And this affects her and affects the availability of a tailor that can get her size. So the restriction of movement, she can't go out to get her sizes measured, and the tailor can't come to her to get her measurements. And the second problem is being, I don't know if that is exactly a problem, but she has a need of some home clothes, but she doesn't have them. So I think it's the need of the home clothes that got us to the point of her needing a cardigan. So I think those are the two problems: the no movement policy and her needing home clothes.
Okay,
So
yeah, thank you. Thank you. So no movement, no clothes. Because of time, I would stop here. I'll stop here because I have a meeting by 9. So I'm going to give you guys an assignment. First of all, list out about 4 problems you can identify. It can be more than from these tasks. Then bring out solutions to solve this problem. So I've given you guys 3 assignments. Number 1, okay, the first assignment is list out at least 3 applications that has a good UI and bad UX, a good UX and bad UI, a good UI and bad UX. Just interchange it. So bring out, research and come on and list out at least 3 applications. It can be a mobile application, it can be a web application. Then that's one assignment. Second one is, having known these tasks, right? Come up with the problems you can identify from Prince-Carr, at least 4, and come up with the possible solution on how to solve this problem. Do you understand? So welcome to the UI UX world where we solve problem. Thank you for listening. So I just have 5 minutes to take questions.
Okay, so I'm going to unmute just like let's say 3 people. Then other questions they can ask on their UI UX group. So
Okay.
Emmanuel, I'm asking you to unmute. Emmanuel, are you talking? Okay, Emmanuel Okoye, please unmute. I guess they don't have questions. Okay, Gift Sunday. Can you unmute? I'm going to bring everybody's hand down so that I know people that. Okay. So if you have any question, you can raise your hand.
Yes, I'm Gift from here.
Okay. Chineye.
Okay. To know when the task is due for submission. Is it our next class, or I don't know, when do we submit the assignment?
Before your next class, and I'll be sending a Google form for the submission.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay. She's Obama. Yeah.
Okay, hello.
Hello, we can hear you. Go
Hello?
ahead.
We can hear
Okay,
you.
this is Chizobe. So I want to ask, people have been asking in the comment section, so I want to ask, are we going to have the slide of this present presentation so that we can go through it for most of us that did not join earlier on? I don't know if it's possible to have the slide. Any other means to get it.